In today's episode, we talk about how our identity is the key towards our healthy habits. Hi, I'm Brooke Lyons. A few years ago, I lost 50 pounds and finally got my life back. I've uncovered the tools that allowed me to keep the weight off and help hundreds of my clients also lead a healthy and vibrant life. Losing weight is only the beginning, and being happy and healthy is so much more than just a number on the scale. So join me as we discover how to thrive beyond weight loss. Thank you so much for joining us for Thrive Beyond Weight Loss. I'm Dr. Brooke Lyons.
And I'm Bri.
And today we were talking about our identity. It's funny when you're doing these podcasts, just so you can see behind the scenes a little bit, you don't just do one at a time, you do many. And that's why you'll see some jewelry on, some jewelry off, a button up. You know what I mean? We'll change it just so that you can see it's a different video when you're scrolling and everything. But then we have some conversations that come up from we're trying to stay on topic for the short podcast we do, but they always incite something that we're like, oh, we got to talk about that. And so that's what we kind of came up with today was our identity. Because to make a different life, we kind of need to sometimes change. All the time. If we want something different, we're going to have to do different things to get there. And we were talking about how there's a lot of movement to understanding how the brain and the body works, right? That's why there's new research out that really explains why if you finish a weight loss program, you're probably going to gain it back. If you go back to your old habits, it takes 12 to 18 months, we know now, for your set point. Like your body always wants to be a certain weight. You probably found that because no matter what you eat and drink, you'll probably stay the same weight. But then it starts to creep up when hormones change and age happens and habits change. Maybe you broke your foot and you couldn't walk for 6 months. You're going to see some fat start to accumulate. But know that knowing these things about how our body works gives us grace for ourselves because it's not like, oh, there is something wrong with me. I lost all that weight and I gained it back. That's because for 12 to 18 months, you got to stick to this stuff. And then guess what happens in 12 to 18 months of doing the right thing? You know how to do it.
Right.
Right?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's life because we're trying to obtain a lifestyle.
Yes.
And those lifestyles are great, but like I said in another podcast, it's having a foundation.
Yes.
Because
oh gosh, yes.
since I've been working on mine over the last 10 years, I've had several downs. I mean, I've had several surgeries. I've gone through a divorce.
Yep.
There's tons of times where, I fell off,
Yes.
but I knew I had it in the back of my mind of what I needed to do to get back. And
right.
that I'm not always going to be that exact weight of where I was, and to not, necessarily be a stickler about the scale because it might go down 5, it might go up 5, but that's okay. And you have the tools that you need to get back to where your happiness is and where you feel your best and
to put some focus on that again.
Yes, and that your identity can change and evolve over time.
And will change.
And
it will change.
Yes, because I was 26 when I started my journey, and now I'm 36.
Yeah.
My body is not the same as it was 10 years ago, and that's okay. So things now need to change, and I need to implement different ways. And it might not always be with the food and working out, but it might be different ways of helping lower my cortisol and my stress because of things that have come up in my life.
And now we have research too that women really need 10 hours of sleep.
Yes.
What
love
women
my
get
sleep.
that? I do too, and that's why.
I'm like, I need a good 9.
Yes, a good 9. Awesome.
Good 9.
So there was a lady at a seminar last weekend when I was at that, and I was like, I gotta go, because we were having just such a beautiful, really deep conversation after dinner. We walked home together. We actually walked to the restaurant, which took us about 12 minutes, but we had been sitting all day. So she's like, I'll walk with you, and she's younger, so it wasn't. She was going to drive. But these are little things that we start to incorporate once we feel better, right? So anyways, we walked back and we were having this great conversation. I was like, oh, well, it's 9:30. I got to go to bed. And she's like, because seminars, they started at 9, which is very nice. They don't. Sometimes they start at 8. But I explained to her, women need 10 hours. She's like, really? She goes, if I get 6, it's good. And she'd already been sharing with me how she's tired. She's in her 20s.
Oh, wow.
Tired. She's like stressed out. Before the seminars, it was hard for her to make some decisions. So that's why she goes to these things, because it's focused time where she is working on herself and her life, which is brilliant. That's why I go to some of these things.
Right.
But
Yeah.
10 hours.
Yeah,
10
that's
hours, girl.
incredible.
It is.
And that's hard. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't, as a parent or that's
a dog owner.
Yeah, anything. It's
Yeah.
very difficult, but I do find when I get a good night's sleep
Yeah.
and have good nutrition, all of that, you feel so much better. And
Oh
then
my
your
gosh.
other tasks that you're trying to implement are so much easier to maintain.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about this before on the show, how we do so many things that stop us from having good sleep.
Yes.
But it really has to be a priority. And now there's so much research about those CPAP machines not actually doing as good as we thought they were, and also having microplastics go in. So, but there are better ways. We should do a show about that with my husband once, because he does a lot of stuff with sleep. But anyways, so let's talk a little bit about thank you, body. Because this is the vessel. Sometimes I say to people, if they have a job or they had a job at some point, they could train the next person fully on how to do that job. We brought Tori in to teach you some stuff, right? Like, that's what we can do. But whoever taught you how this thing works?
No one.
And they're like, well, I learned about a little bit of it in health ed, and that's the extent of it, which is not how your body works. It's just
sad.
sex, really, how the reproductive organs work. It is sad because we're not taught. And then, when we don't know about something, it makes it this open field for, I'm not good enough. I don't know what I'm doing. Everybody else figured it out, not me. It makes us go down this path where, and anxious and spiraling down. And so when we talked about that set point just a couple minutes ago, please know that thriving beyond weight loss means that, and Bri said a couple times, lifestyle. To me, it's exciting now to hear that word. I think it wasn't always, honestly, because it felt like a burden. But now I'm like, it was so much fun to do the stairs, and I cut my lunch in half or my dinner in half, and because those things, what the thing is? That they're working.
They really do.
They're working. And so I have some positive feedback that says, keep going, keep doing this. And the more I do it, I don't know, maybe in the past, maybe not, I would have been embarrassed to get a box. And I say to the guy, the other day, bring me the box before you bring me the food, please. Because I need to know the box is there, because I will just pick at it and it will be gone.
Especially if you're talking and it's.
I know myself that. So check yourself and see what your habits are. But so how do we find that new identity in what we're doing? How did you do it? What were some of the things you did?
Forming positive habits, I think, is a huge one. I mean, we easily have formed those bad habits, which is where we get to that, place that we don't really want to be. So implementing daily habits, I think, is a great
non-negotiables kind of.
And they can be small, or what some might think is small, by drinking 100 ounces of water, or going to bed an hour earlier. Putting your phone down, at 6 o'clock and not going on it, because you'll get better sleep by not having the electronics.
It actually works. It's so hard to do because I like to calm down, but now I do it in different ways.
One of mine now is getting up earlier.
Really?
Yeah, I just find my mornings are very peaceful, and I love getting up with my fiance and having calm time before the chaos comes in, and having coffee, or we try to go out and ground every morning too. Yes. I don't know how we're going to do that in the winter, but we need to figure that out, because
you'll do cold walking.
But those small habits have slowly, I think, changed my identity and what I view myself, and I love it. And they're different than what they were 5 years ago. But I think they're a calmer type of identity, which is big for my mental health, I think, is where...
mental health. Yeah. There's so many chemicals going on in our body all the time that we forget that our lifestyle and our food and our sleep and our relationships, they're all taking space. We have this much space, and something's taking part of it. And if it all gets sucked away, guess how you feel? You just feel like a ruckled up ball of mess. So those are beautiful. We were talking too about these little changes you can do, because I'm not a fan of waking up too early, because you've got to have 3 o'clock. Usually your kidneys are filtering out 4 o'clock. Your liver is our body is trying. our body doesn't care if we're awake. It cares if we're asleep for health.
Yes.
So if we're not getting good restful sleep, that's when your natural killer cells come out. But if you have food in your gut still, it's all resources go to processing that food. But if you haven't, if you're going to sleep with on our program, the things we teach you, with your last meal completed and processed, then you get really good sleep. Right. And then you wake up having had your natural killer cells. And, cancer is in all of our bodies. Cancer is actually just a cell that doesn't know what to do, and it reproduces in that way. And then we get these masses and these problems. But truly, your body is supposed to go to sleep and have these natural killer scavengers go around and be like, you don't belong, you don't belong. And that's what we poop out and pee out in the morning, sometimes even exhaling some of this stuff. And so just kind of think about 3 things you can do. 1, let's start with 1.
Yes.
Could you get some better sleep? Could you go to bed at an hour early? I love that one. And also, sometimes it's about priorities too, right? Like our health becomes a priority when we don't have it anymore. It always does then. I always used to say, like, I wish I had a sickness because that would make me do these things.
Yes.
But that is such weak thinking. I mean, it was my truth back then, but the power comes from every day doing that thing that feels hard until it doesn't feel hard anymore.
I love that.
Right? And that
such a good
actually,
feeling.
right? But it's also physiologically how our brain works, like the chemicals in our brain that's why people jump in those water plunges now. That's why they, for centuries, have been doing water plunges in cold places like Iceland and stuff.
Yes.
Swiss, they do this. They do cold plunges once a year. It's like a big festival. We have one here, actually. Lots of them here. But they do these hard things because when you do a hard thing, you're like, what else can I do?
Right. And I think you said it takes 12 to 18 months for your body to
physiologically reset.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, think about that, because that gives us a lot of grace, right? Like, I went right back to eating the foods that I was eating. That's why we have a maintenance program on ours. If you take it seriously, that gives you more months to just keep coming in, having the support you need, but be like, oh, I see what you're saying. Like, I started drinking it again, so that meant I did dessert again. And then I started having my sugar cravings again. But guess what? When I started doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner back on the program with my fruit and vegetable, meat, and healthy fat, all the cravings went away again. I'm like, oh, really? And they're like, you know. I'm like, I know, but I can't just be like, I know, because that's rude. You got to come to it yourselves. Right. But yeah, that set point's a really important thing to realize now, because that gives you some forgiveness for how it's happened in the past.
That's very true.
Right.
And you've been keeping your weight off for 3
years.
Yes.
And
been busy and going,
Yep.
Is it just sometimes going back to the basics of what the program is?
Yeah. Well, and so even just recently I had gained a little bit, and I'm okay with it. I mean, I'm at the age right now that if I still feel good, I'm okay. But I had a rough summer we'll talk about sometime, and I still wasn't quite feeling good, and I found out why the weight was coming on. But then, as soon as I went back strict on program, the weight just melted off of me again, which I know it happens every day, but it's really, once again, like, here I am. You got to constantly be doing the hard thing, learning and putting your focus and your attention until it becomes not a hard thing. Very because true. It's been a month since you've been with me, and that's kind of when I started to be like, okay, I got this great staff member. I really need to like feed my team and be there for her. And that meant coming into work more often than I had been. Particularly all summer. So when I made that decision right when you started, actually, but it wasn't a challenge for very long. It was getting back into what I had been doing to be successful.
I loved what you said too about how you're, a little bit heavier than what you were, but you feel good.
You're right.
You're happy. I think that's a huge thing to say too, because I've been smaller than I am now, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't thriving. And I think that's something that's great to say to people too, because it's not, we get so caught up in how we look in the mirror, what size we are, how much we weigh. And I've been, like I said, smaller, but I wasn't feeling good. I love feeling good and being able to have energy and all of that. And you need to feel your body, and it's not always about being as small as possible.
No, especially as we age. I mean, when I was 20, when we're 20, we can party all night. We can drink alcohol every day. Not to say that I did that, but there is a drinking game for water in our office that was maybe sparked by that. No, every time we say water, I'm like, it's drinking. Yeah. It's my water bottle, but it's fun. It's fun. We got to have fun with these things or they don't stick, and you don't want to not have a fun life. You got to.
I call it my emotional support.
There you go. Emotional. I saw somebody's luggage once that said my emotional baggage, and it was like this giant sticker on a giant bag, and I'm like,
funny.
Oh, that's all. It was so funny to me to see it, but then I'm like, are you expecting your life to have that much baggage? Because I was almost like, don't carry that bag. You're like setting yourself up for more baggage. But anyways, it was funny. But yeah, just we always talk about grace on the show because I think it's really easy to have grace for everybody else. If a friend came to you and was like, I'm having this trouble, you'd be like, girl, you're perfect the way you are. Like if you don't feel good, here's an idea, or if you want one, But the grace that we have for ourselves is the grace that moves us forward. Nobody else is going to do this for you. I have patients sometimes that are like, my husband's not on board or my wife won't, blah, blah, blah. And that's because it's not their journey.
Yeah.
Sometimes I got to say mean things, right? It's none of their business what you're eating. No. You can make it their business and be like, fine, I'll go out for the ice cream with you and eat it. Or you can say, like, I don't have a problem with ice cream. I'm in maintenance, so I can do that. But they have child size cones.
Yeah, you can get a little scoop.
Yep, one scoop instead of that giant with the sugar cone, all that stuff. I did actually. We were hiking in Tennessee, and my girlfriends. It's a hiking trip we do every year because this is true. Like we live our life the way we talk here, and so I have 3 other girlfriends that every year we go hiking for a full week.
It's so fun.
We just don't do anything and actually we don't even really talk while we're walking. We are just processing and doing our best to be present.
Yes.
When we're on the plane and stuff, we're like, what's been going on with Johnny? We catch up. But this is just a challenge because now I'm the youngest at 55. So it's a challenge for us to be like, well, our rule is 4 in, 4 out. Like that's all that matters.
We got to get everyone out.
We got to get out there before the heat comes in and we get out. But when we were, when I talked myself out of my point, that's hilarious. This will happen sometimes, ladies and gentlemen. But when we're on that trip, there's an express decision that we are going to do hard things. We are not going to complain about it because there was this time we did, I think it's called it's a 10 waterfalls in 10, oh no, this is Oregon, sorry, this year. And there were teenagers and young 20-year-olds that told us the next day, don't do that one.
Oh, no.
And we're like, we did that yesterday. But I got to tell you, like, it says 9 miles. My ring told me it was 24 because of the switchbacks.
Oh, yes.
It was this kind of mountain, like this kind.
Wow, that's intense.
Oh, my gosh, it was fantastic. But we all waddled to the car.
Oh, I'm sure.
And none of us said a word. We were just like, and I was like, walk, pause, walk. But I was not going to give up.
No, you had to be proud of yourselves.
Oh, my gosh. We got in that car, and then it's like the outside is like this unspoken rule we don't complain. But once we made it to the car, we were like,
oh, my gosh.
Holy crap. Like, that was so much more than I thought it was going to be. And this trail was fantastic because it has a reward every little while of a new waterfall you're seeing. But that's what I'm talking about, the hard things. If you do it together with like these unspoken don't complain about it rules, you'll just get through it. And then you sit down and go, I just did that. And then the next day, hopefully you'll get some confirmation, which is these young people going, don't do that trail.
Yeah.
Like, and then we're like,
we did it.
We did that. We survived. So, let's talk about just for a minute, what are some of because I don't want you to dissuade you by saying they're hard things, right? Though that's easy for me to do because I'm doing it with my friends. It's a yearly thing. I look forward to it because we also do some crafts. Each one of us picks a craft to bring for the rest. Tell me about some of the things that are seemingly hard, but now just part of your lifestyle.
Probably, implementing daily activity that used to be.
Oh, like the grounding in the morning and stuff?
And just working out and not necessarily going to the gym all the time or work, but doing some type of walking movement.
Right.
it's easy to be like, I'm tired, or, I worked really hard today. I just want to sit around, but trying to do something, getting outside.
I love it.
I think once you implement those all the time, they just become part of your
Your
routine.
habits.
No different than, like we said, brushing your teeth, showing up for work,
Yeah.
getting up in the morning. I mean, you can easily
Just there.
implement the water.
Yeah.
And I think, like, when patients struggle with their spouses being supportive and stuff, it's kind of a boundary. Like, you don't have, I'm not forcing you to do this, but I would like you to understand that this is my journey and what I want to do. And if you want to support me, that's great, but I'm going to do it. And
and
that's okay to say.
Well, and sometimes our experiences really challenge us to stand up for ourselves where we maybe have never done that before. Just this weekend at a seminar, I realized I had been allowing a boundary to be crossed. And so, I mean, yay. Because we're just always going to be uncovering these things, needing different things. You don't have to be the person you were 20 years ago or the person you were yesterday or last week if that person's not getting you to what you really truly desire.
Right.
And the first thing is to figure out what you truly desire. And that might not be just a flash in the pan. You might be developing this idea. Keep watching our podcasts because we're always going to call you into doing something. It's an option, like what you said. You don't have to do it, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And so every day delving into what you want for that day, because then remember, we talk about congruency a lot. If you want to feel happier and healthier so that you don't have to have a nap at 4 o'clock or Mars bar, I always talk about that. But if you don't want that, are the things that you're doing leading up to that, even the night before, going to give you success in that area?
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, then you just get to change it. You can change anything.
And stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
It's scary, but it's worth it.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yep. One last story I wanted to share with you, because as we go into holidays, which is nearly every month, right? This is the thing with the kids. We'd had a candy episode. We talked about Willy Wonka effect. The schools, all our lives are so different than they used to be. Used to be you would get treats at a treat time.
Yeah.
But now at school, everybody has a treat day someday, every day. So our families and ourselves, we're getting a lot more sugar and a lot more refined sugar. In this country, we are given foods that are not permitted in other countries. And we've got to make do with what we've got. But I want to propose an idea to you. If there's something, we talked about congruency. If you, for example, at work, there was a lady who was so scared because at work there was this beautiful woman who makes cupcakes all the time and all the time. But she was like, but I'm on this program and I don't want to fail because there's a failure factor. We don't want to fail.
Yeah.
And so she's like, but I don't want to insult her because we all know this person who does something that's not necessarily useful, but it's coming from their heart.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to make your life better. They love you in whatever capacity. This is a work environment, but this woman's sharing her love with you through the cupcake. And so get a little creative because it's a gift. But you've heard my analogy of before we did a podcast with Tori about how I never told the kids that those were candy. I told them they were craft pieces. I've told you about that. So, but you can always just say, thank you. Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. You put so much love in it. I just love it. I can't wait to eat this later. And then you put it aside. And it's okay to throw it out. Just don't throw it out there in case she sees it in the garbage. You wouldn't want to break her heart. But just have a little baggie in your, I have a baggie everywhere I go, mostly because I like to collect pretty rocks and seeds and stuff like that, seeds. But you can put it in your bag and bring it home and just throw it out there. It is a craft supply. It was a mission of love that you gratefully accepted. She didn't need to know that you didn't eat it. And if she asks, it was so beautiful, I loved it. You're not lying because it was beautiful.
Yes.
Right? I also don't like lying, but I also don't want to break somebody's heart to take care of my needs.
Yeah.
But so that's a decision I needed to make. So I would love to hear the things that go on in your life, things that you're like, what do I do about the cupcake lady? You have something like that in your life. Let's have some dialogue on this. Submit your questions to us at support@mybodybella.com. And we'll be able to maybe collect your questions and maybe do a whole episode just answering some of the great questions that come in.
I Love to do that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, good. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Thrive Beyond Weight Loss. My name is Dr. Brooke Lyons.
And I'm Bri.
And we can't wait to see you next time.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on the Thrive Beyond Weight Loss podcast belong solely to the host and guest speakers and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any associated organizations or health professionals. The content provided is for informational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider with any questions regarding a medical condition or health objectives.